Hi everyone, myself Dr. P. Kanaraj, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Sri Sanmova College of Engineering and Technology. Now we are going to discuss a concept called functions in C programming. So what is function? A function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. C language allows us to group statements into functions which can be reused as needed. If you are writing code in functions, so whenever required, this can be reused. Functions created by the user are called user-defined functions. The functions already exist, call it as an predefined function. So the function having three parts. So one is function declaration or prototype. Next one is function definition. Next one is function call or also called as a function invocation. So we can see one by one the function parts. First one is function declaration or function prototype. So which tells the compiler about the function name, return type and arguments. We are going to use a function. So within our program that information passed with the help of this declaration or prototype. What is the syntax? Return type followed by name of the function, then data type. So it's parameter. So required number of parameters we can give. So in function declaration, this parameter is optional. So it's not required if you are giving nothing now, but we should give the data type. So only one argument, we can give multiple arguments required, you can give the arguments not required, simply we can put empty parenthesis. So return type is going to be a valid data type. So if I want to return some value from a function, corresponding data type we have to give. For example, I want to return an integer value from this function, we have to give int. If I want to return a float value, I want to give float. I don't want to return any value, simply I can give void. If I don't want to return any value, so return type is going to be void. Next, function definition. So function definition denotes the implementation of the function. Syntax return type, name of the function, type, we should give also parameter. So the next type 2, parameter, etc. So how many number of parameters you want, you can give. If you don't want any parameter, simply put empty parenthesis. Then next here we can write so the set of statements to perform particular task. Next, function call. So which invokes the defined function. So function name followed by arguments. So when a function is called, control of the program gets transferred to the function. So these are the three parts of function. So one is function declaration, the next one is function definition, next one is function call. These are the function parts. So this is simple syntax. So combinedly denoting all the three things, all the three parts of function. Declaration, this is declaration. So this is function definition. This is function call. This is function call. So this is function definition. So this is function prototype. Function prototype. So here return type, function name, type its parameter, etc. So the next function call, so for name of the function followed by so arguments or values which are going to be passed to the function. The next return type, function name, so type and its parameter followed by so body of the function. So function statements. Here so here one thing you have to clearly understand. So when this function declaration or function prototype required, so before function, if before function definition function call appears means, before function definition function call appears means we should give function prototype or declaration before this function call. Suppose another case, if the function definition appears before function call, function definition appears before function call, the declaration is not required. The declaration is not required. These are the thing. This is the one thing you have to remember. Suppose if the function definition appears before function call, the function declaration or prototype not required. Suppose if the function call appear, So the another way we can see, so function definition before function call. Function definition before function call, declaration is not required. This function definition comes after this function call. We should give declaration before this function call. So this is have to remember one thing. Next, this is a small example denote the implementation of function. Assume we are going to create a function. Here function creation is going to be before function call. Actually this is a function call, this is a function definition, this is a function call. Here we are creating a function, we are defining a function before function call, so the declaration is not required here. This is a function definition, return type int. The function is going to be return an integer value, that's the return type int. If you are not returning any value, that case we have to give void. Then name of the function, it should be a valid identifier. Name should be a valid identifier. Then followed by arguments. If you record, you can give arguments. Record number of arguments. No arguments, simply put empty parenthesis. Here we are giving two arguments, int num1 comma int num2. The next, int result. One more, within this function I have created a variable result. If num1 greater than num2, so within the result num1 is going to be stored. We are checking among these number 1, number 2, which one is greater. So greater value are trying to store within result. If num1 greater than num2, that means num1 is greatest value which is stored in the result. Suppose condition is false, num2 is going to be a greatest value, that is going to be stored in result. Then finally we are going to return result. So result is an integer variable, so we are going to return an integer value, so return type is going to be int. So this is the implementation of function. The next is the main function. So here this is a function call. So when this, simply you are telling when this function definition will execute. So this will not execute until function call. So during function call only the function definition will execute, otherwise the function is not going to execute by default. So during function call only this will execute. So as usual, where the program execution start, main only. So always the program execution in C start from main. So for the first two lines, int AB. There are two variables we are trying to create, A and B. While executing this line, what will happen? We are creating a variable. So that means memory is going to be allotted these two variables. Two variables created, further memory is going to be allotted. Next, scanf statement, we try to get two inputs from user, that is two numbers from users. So first number is stored in A, second number is going to be stored in B. Assume we are giving 23 and 45 as input by the user. First value is going to be stored in A, 23. Second value is going to be stored in 45 in B. The next statement, there is a printf statement. So within that printf statement, we are calling the function. We are calling the function. This function can be called within printf function or outside printf function. So wherever we want, we can call. So max of a comma b. We are calling a function max. So with values 23, 45. What is the a value? 23. What is the b value? 45. B value is going to be 45. With these two values, the function max is called. What will happen? The control is transferred from this function call to the function definition. The value which is stored in A, 23, is going to be copied into num1. Here two variables are going to be created. So while executing this function, there are two variables going to be created. One is num1 and one is num2. Here the value of A, 23, is copied into num1. The next second B value 45 is copied into num2. So next we are entering into the function int result. One more variable are going to creating within this function result. The next, if num1 greater than num2, what is the num1 value? 23, num2 value 45. 23, this is 45, 23 greater than 45. Condition false, the control will move to the else part. Num2 value is stored into result. What is num2 value? 45, which is stored in the result variable. Next, we are exit from the if condition statements. The next statement is going to be return statement. Return result. Result value is going to be returned. What is the result value? 45. 45 is returned. The returned value is going to be replaced by this function call. The function call is replaced with value 45. So this printf statement will print the value 45. Greater value colon, then followed by, for this percentage part, this 45 is going to be replaced. That's why the output greater value 45. This is the way the function is going to execute. So after this, so return 0 where exit from the program. The next types of function. C functions can be classified into two categories. One is library functions or built-in functions. Library functions are those functions which are already defined in C library. So example printf, scanf, stringcat, etc. There are many functions are already defined and stored in C library. Those functions are called as predefined functions or built-in functions or library functions. The next one more category, user-defined functions. The user-defined functions are those functions which are created by the user at the time of writing program. Previously, we have created a function called max. So that is user-defined function example. We have created. So that's why there is an user-defined function. So some of the example of built-in function which is available in math header file. There are many header files are there. Each header file having different kind of function. Here just we have listed what are the functions available in math. There are many functions are available. These are some of the functions represented or denoted here. Square root function which is used to calculate square root of a value. So power function, the next, so absolute value of x, ceil function, floor function, log 10, sine, cos, tan, exponential. There are many functions are available. So these are the example for built-in functions or predefined functions. So what are the benefits of using functions? It make your code reusable. So if you are going with function, so we can reuse the code many times. For example, scanf is a function which can be used most of our C programs. The scanf is, we are not writing code for getting input, already getting input stored in scanf function. So we are utilizing it multiple times. So like that there are many functions available, predefined functions available. So like that we can also create a function that can also be reused like scanf, printf. In case of larger programs, debugging and editing becomes easier if you use functions. So putting a larger function into a single function, so it is difficult for debugging or editing. Instead of that, we can create in separate function which is easy for debugging and maintenance. It makes the program more readable and easy to understand. It provides modularity to your program's structure. The next, void functions. Already little bit discussion we had about this one. If you don't want to return any value from the function, so we have to specify return type as void. This is generally called as a void functions. So do not return any value, used for performing actions or modifying variables, normally used for these two purposes. Next, value returning functions. So return a value of a specific data type used for calculations or generating results. We have seen a function called max where returned a value. So like that, if a function want to return any value, so we have to specify what type of value the function is going to return. So that's all about the function basics. What we had a discussion here. So we have started with what is function, followed by parts of function. Then we have seen an example. So then types of function. Then followed by, so just we have discussed little bit about the functions available in math.h file. Then void function. So the next, so function with returning values. The next, so what are the benefits of functions? So you understood little bit about functions basics. So thank you for watching.